Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka Lauren33. We're back here today with another video on the channel for you guys. And today we are here with a live review and reaction for Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 88. And it is the beginning of a new arc here in Dragon Ball Super. Well, it's kind of a new arc, kind of a retelling of a prior story in a way. We are beginning the superhero arc. The superhero arc will contain, of course, a prequel to the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. And I believe they also will be retelling the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie as well in the manga. So, this is very, exciting. You're going to get to see little things that you didn't get to see in superhero. And I'm pretty excited for it. You guys know I enjoyed the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, and I'm excited to see how they tell it here in the manga. For the most part, of course, things should be pretty much the same, but there will be some differences here and there. At least with the start here with this prequel, we get the story centered around Goten and Trunks, who are now in their teenage years. So we finally get to see them a little more aged up, a little more of a teenage adult look, which is something that we've wanted for a very long time in Dragon Ball Super. And, some exciting stuff. And it's good to have, I'll say this, it's good to have the DBS manga back. Whether you like the Dragon Ball Super manga or not, whether you like the Granola arc, which was the previous arc, or not, I think as fans of the overall Dragon Ball franchise, the last couple months have been tough. We haven't had as much Dragon Ball content. We didn't have the Dragon Ball Super manga as the manga was on break the last 3 months. And it's good to be back, even though this superhero arc, isn't going to be the tone will be as major as previous arcs, right? It's a little more slice of earth, a little more of a fun adventure story here with Goten and Trunks taking center stage. It's still cool. It's cool to have the manga back. And I do think this, some of the things we see with this superhero arc will be set up for something even bigger into the future of Dragon Ball Super, right? I know we're all patiently awaiting, the announcement of what the next Dragon Ball anime for 2023. Of course, when we do get that, I will make a video on it. But for right now, we really just got to be patient. It's going to come in time. And once we do get that announcement, of course, I will make sure to cover it right here on the channel. But let's get into Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 88. Let's not waste any more time. So Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 88 picks up right where we left off in Chapter 87 a couple months ago. And we see the aftermath of the battle on planet Cereal. We see Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, and Whis return. They return to Beerus's planet, and we see, of course, they're eating, right? And they're having a nice ramen meal. Goku, of course, you can see he's absolutely stuffing his face, absolutely stuffed, right? And we get a nice little color page as well. It says Goku and Vegeta's battle to the death with gas on planet Cereal ended with an abrupt loss to Black Frieza. After that, they returned to Beerus's planet. Goku was now aware of the massive power gap between him and his foe, as was Vegeta. As such, they continued their training in the hopes of defeating Frieza. This is all we see of Goku and Vegeta in this chapter. So even though Goku's having a good time, eating, right, him and Vegeta are very much aware now that they have a new foe to chase. Even though they were able to defeat Gas on planet Cereal, it was Frieza that came in and got the last laugh, and Frieza came in, revealed a new level of power, right, with his new Black Frieza form, and he's stronger than both Goku and Vegeta in their ultimate forms. So now Goku and Vegeta gotta play catch up, and we get to see, basically with this color page, we get to see Black Frieza in his official colors. And I know there was a lot of people out there that actually predicted this color scheme, so kudos to anybody who predicted this black, purple, and silver color scheme for Black Frieza. The form looks beautiful, and that is that. I love how Vegeta is the standing, just envisioning, right? Just envisioning a reflection of Black Frieza. And all he can think about is now how Frieza has surpassed him in Kakarot, and now how they gotta train even harder if they're gonna actually defeat this guy, right? And basically, what's cool is it gives the goal right here, right? Goku and Vegeta, they're always training to get stronger and prepare for the next battle. But I love how basically it says, right? They're continuing their training in hopes of defeating Frieza. That is their next goal, right? Keep training so now they can, you know, uh, shorten that gasp or shorten that gap and catch up to Frieza and defeat him. And we know in the superhero movie, Goku, Vegeta are training with Broly. So I would hope at some point we get to see Goku and maybe even Vegeta head over to Planet Vampa and recruit Broly. I think that would be cool. A cool nugget, something that we didn't get to see in the superhero movie, and get to see Goku and Vegeta interact with Broly and recruit him to train, right? So I think that's cool. And yeah, this is all we get from Goku and Vegeta, and we'll probably get more of their training in future chapters as this superhero arc continues. So moving on, we get another beautiful color spread, right? This one basically highlighting the new superhero arc. The very, very cool. On the left hand side, you got like the zombies. You have Dr. Hero here in the bottom left. You got Goten and Trunks. Now aged up a little bit, right? Trunks looking basically just like his future Trunks counterpoint, or counterpart, right? We got Goten here, giving up those teen Gohan vibes with his hair. Love it. And then over here we got Mai, and then we got some of Goten and Trunks' classmates, and then we got Krillin here on the bottom right. So pretty cool color spread to highlight the beginning of the new arc. All right, let's get into it. So we get a one more color page here, and basically we get the introduction of Goten and Trunks now as teenagers in their superhero costumes, doing superhero poses. Remember in Dragon Ball Super the anime, right? There was a filler episode where Gohan was in his Great Saiyaman costume and he was doing one of his poses, and Goten was saying that's lame, right? Basically, Goten kind of, talk about how, when he was younger, he kind of enjoyed seeing Gohan in the suit, but now as he aged, he didn't find it as cool anymore. But now the tables have come full circle. Gohan no longer does the Great Saiyaman gimmick as he's busy with his schooling, or his studies, and we see Goten and Trunks with their own superhero poses. I would say Goten and Trunks' superhero poses are probably better than what Gohan and Videl had back in the day. But anyway, right, Saiyaman X1, which is Trunks, and Saiyaman X2. And you see their outfits, pretty cool. So we see they're in the town, right, as it goes back to the classic black and white, and we see these robbers at a jewelry store. They're like, what's going on, right? And they're shocked to see Goten and Trunks see these heroes appear on the scene. And we see some people are shocked that they just flipped over a vehicle, right? And then basically go Trunks gives off commentary. Both of you the robbery jewelry store in broad daylight, right? But too brass for your own good. And then we learned that basically Goten and Trunks have been receiving notoriety slowly in the city as heroes. So more and more as they commit heroic actions, people are starting to take notice of them, similar to how Gohan did when he was in high school and appearing as the Great Saiyaman. All right. And then we see one of the robbers is mad because they had just wrecked their ride, right? And then he pulls out a gun. But of course, we know guns aren't going to do anything to superpowered Saiyans like Goten and Trunks. So Trunks transports right in front of him, and basically crushes the gun with his own brute strength. Right. Then he throws the gun in a trash bag, and then he ties it and hands it to the criminal and tells him to throw it away. We see then the robbers go after Goten and Trunks, but of course, they can't lay a finger on these two Saiyans, and they take care of them pretty damn easily. Right, and then after that, there's like, after the robbers have given up, they say cleanup complete. Right. So then, as the police come, and then they handle the situation, we then see Goten and Trunks head to a nearby billboard, and then they reveal themselves, of course, officially, as Goten and Trunks, right? And then they're reflecting on how good their performance just went. So, um, basically, we then learn that Goten and Trunks got their poses. The inspiration for their poses came from a superhero that they've been playing as in a video game and appearing in a movie in their universe called Clean God, right? So we see them doing their own variations of his pose, and basically they do. They're also reflect like, oh, does it like look too similar to King God himself? But Goten's like, nah, especially since they're a duo, it should be fine. No one should really notice. So then Goten gets an alert on his smartphone, which is pretty cool to see now, right? Goten and Trunks have their own smartphones now. Um, Goten gets an alert on his phone about another crime, but this is more of a cyber attack, right? Someone's out there stealing a bunch of people's personal info, which actually happens all the time in our modern day society. But Trunks is like, we can't beat up scumbags over the internet. And Goten comments, pretty funny, you never been that great with computers, Trunks. One thing that you'll notice throughout the chapter is, yes, Goten and Trunks are a little more aged up, but they still, have that kid friendly nature, especially Trunks. Both Goten and Trunks are, smart in their own right, and they have their own unique personalities. But one thing at least you notice in this chapter, it seems like Goten's a little more, I want to say, socially aware than Trunks. Trunks has some really funny kid moments here. You know, and you see like Goten's like the more, I want to say, a little more mature. And a little more, I want to say, pragmatic. With his decision making. Right, which is actually cool, and you guys also have to remember. I believe Trunks is about a year older than Goten anyway. I think I have that right. Yeah, no, yeah, Trunks is about a year older than Goten, but in ways it feels like Goten's the more mature one. But you'll notice that a little bit more, and I'll point it out as we go through the rest of the chapter. But Trunks is like, I just want to face off against some mighty evil and do it in style, but maybe there's no place for superheroes in modern society. And Goten says, a peaceful world is a good thing. There doesn't always need to be a bad guy to beat. You know, I mean, we kind of seen, Goku and Vegeta talk about that. When Granola in the Granola arc, right? When Goku and Vegeta learned that there's like a new enemy out there, which ended up, being Granola. Goku's super excited to face a new opponent, and Vegeta's like, oh, why are you always excited for these types of things, right? You don't know how these things are gonna play out. This could be a dangerous situation that leads to our deaths. But Goku, of course, is always out there looking to challenge himself. So then, as they're talking, Goten gets a FaceTime from his mother, Chi Chi, right? And Chi Chi's wondering where he is, and why has he not come home yet? So, of course, Goten's still afraid of his mom, just like his dad is, just like Goku is. He realizes that he needs to, rush home. And right now, one of the issues for Goten and Trunks is they're keeping their superhero identities a secret, not just in the public eye, but they're also keeping it a secret from their family members as well. Also, Goten and Trunks, they don't have an automatic way to transform into their superhero outfits, right? They got completely changed out of their normal clothes and changed into superhero clothes first. So definitely, Trunks comes up with the idea that peel off can help them make superhero watches, very similar to what Gohan had in the Buu saga, right? The watches that just by clicking a button Gohan can just transform into his Great Saiyaman outfit. So Goten and Trunks are about to get the same thing. There's a lot of cool Easter eggs to the Buu Saga, early Buu Saga with Gohan, in the Great Saiyaman era here, in the first part of this chapter. It definitely feels like they're paying tribute here to, the early stages of the Buu Saga when Gohan was going through his Great Saiyaman, his early Great Saiyaman days, right? We see Goten changes back into his school clothes, and then Trunks, says he'll give an update on when their superhero costume launches are complete. We get another cool Easter egg. We get to see Nimbus. We get to see Nimbus, who we don't see all that often. Of course, that's an Easter egg to not only early Buu Saga, but are also, early Dragon Ball in general, when Goku would always use the Nimbus cloud. So cool, we get to see the Nimbus Cloud make an appearance here. Essentially, Goten doesn't need it; he could just easily fly home. But of course, the Nimbus Cloud, he can get there as well, no problems asked. So we see Goten leaves on the Nimbus Cloud, right? We see Trunks. Trunks is about to head home in his superhero costume because he feels like it's kind of a pain in the butt to completely change back into his normal clothes. But right before he's about to leave, he notices his parent or his grandparents. His grandparents, they're out about in the city, right? So then he doesn't want to be spotted by them. So right as he notices that, his grandpa does spot him, and his grandpa asks like if he's one of the heroes that's been making waves, and making headlines lately, right? Goten and Trunks in their Saiyaman in their Saiyaman Chronicles have been making rounds a little bit in the news, and people are starting to take notice of them. So Trunks answers, "I'm up of evil in this world as Saiyaman X1." So he turns around, he faces his dad or his grandpa, sorry, and basically does answer the question. And we see one of the dino pets that's with his grandpa runs straight up to Trunks and is embracing him, licking him, rubbing up against his leg, basically, of course, showing affection. And his grandpa's like, that's odd. He's usually only that affectionate with family. So his grandpa notices this, but isn't able to put two and two together and figure it out that it's actually Trunks. Need that water. So, basically Trunks just says, "Oh well, superheroes are beloved by one and all," and then he tells the Dino Pet to sit, which of course it does, and Trunks uses that moment to fly away. Right. And then Trunks comments that if his mom was to find out that he's been playing superhero in the city instead of studying, his mom is definitely not going to be happy. So um we see Bulma's parents are just casually talking, right? Talking about flowers and stuff like that. Bulma's mother wants to get wants to get Pan a flower bouquet to celebrate her start of kindergarten, which we do know she's in kindergarten in the superhero movie. I believe Herms98 on Twitter revealed that basically at least this point, right, this chapter right here takes place about 9 months before the events of the superhero movie. So a good amount of time does, you know, this part at least takes place a good amount of time before the actual, movie itself. But she wants to get pans, some flowers to celebrate her start of kindergarten. And remember, of course, in Japan, kids do start school a little bit earlier. I believe they start kindergarten at 3 years old, which, of course, here in the States, we don't start kindergarten until about what 5 or 6. So there is a pretty significant difference there in the way we do our education. Um, then Bulma's dad wants to send her an aircraft, right? Because Pan was a little bit disheartened by not being able to fly like Piccolo and the others, right? Which we do know in the superhero movie. Part of Pan's training is learning how to fly, which he eventually does near the end of the movie. Um, but yeah, Bulma's dad wants to send her an aircraft to kind of make up for that, but that wouldn't be able to work because Pan's way too young to be able to get her pilot's license. To be able to operate the thing, right? So then instead, Miss Bulma's dad is like, oh, let's just get her a castle, which of course, Caps Corporation always they have all the money in the world, so they can do whatever the hell they want. Um, but right at that moment, we see their dino pet then lets out a little bit of a scream, right? Which gets Bulma's dad's attention, and all of a sudden, you see these like helper robots, right? These helper robots, they are marching through the city, and the thing about it is, Bulma's dad recognizes them because these are helper robots that were built by Capsule Corporation. You can see the Capsule Corporation logo on their bodies, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on. Like, you know why are they not obeying orders? Why are they just walking through the city on their own? Um, and then all of a sudden, as they're reacting to this, we see Bulma's mother turns around, and all of a sudden she sees a what looks like to be a natural zombie, and she yells and screams in shock. Right. So then we move into the next morning, and we see Trunks headed to what looks like to be like a warehouse in the Capsule Corporation, and to talk to Pilaf. And Trunks is asking like how the request from yesterday came along. Basically, this request was just to make superhero costume watches for him and Goten, right? So they can uh turn on their superhero costumes whenever they need it. So Pilaf reveals that one of them is done, right, and that's Trunks, and that Goten's will be done uh in about 1 day's time. Right. And of course, Trunks thanks Pilaf for this, and Pilaf says, you're welcome, but in exchange, Bulma doesn't need to know about me stealing the Dragon Balls." So we reveal that Bulma always has the Dragon Balls, always does. No matter what arc it is, she always has the Dragon Balls on hand, and she's always wishing wacky stuff. Of course, you guys remember in the superhero movie, Bulma made some very, very wacky wishes, for her own self pleasure, but to basically keep herself looking young, right? But it's crazy how Bulma always has the Dragon Balls on hand. It seems. Basically, Pilaf says, "I won't say anything about these superhero costume launches in exchange for you not saying anything about me stealing the Dragon Balls, even though it doesn't really mean anything in the end." Which we'll talk about in just a sec. All right. But right this second we see Bulma, comes in, and she can tell that Trunks and Pilaf are conspiring about something. And then basically Trunks gets ready to leave for school. But before he leaves for school, he sees Mai carrying a box. And of course, you guys remember in the future Trunks arc, right, in Dragon Ball Super, future Trunks and Mai, they do have a thing for each other, right? And we can see Trunks has a thing for Mai in the modern day timeline as well, right? Even though there is a significant age gap between the two, right? The only difference is, Mai has the body of a kid, uh, but there is a significant age gap between both of them. So Trunks goes, to help Mai, lift a heavy box, right? Um, And then basically, Trunks is trying to talk to, Mai. Basically, Trunks wants to ask Mai out on like a date, which is actually, of course, really, really cute. But he doesn't have time right now because he has to get to school and he's blushing. And he says, basically, we'll talk about it later, right? And of course, Boma gives Trunks this look because Boma can clearly tell, that, Trunks has a pretty big thing for Mai. So then Boma reveals that she knew all along that Pilaf had stole the Dragon Balls because, there's a security camera. So even though Pilaf was able to steal the Dragon Balls, he did it right on camera, which was easy for Boma to see. And Boma easily asks for the Dragon Balls back, and Pilaf has no choice but to give them back. So then we see Trunks riding to school, right? Which is actually cool. Like I said, one thing that I enjoy from stuff like this is it's slice of life. All the time or most of the time, it's really of course training and the battle and whatever's happening right with the story they're telling us. But especially in a manga form, you don't get many slice of life moments. Really, just a lot of this chapter is just dedicated to slice of life. You get to see what Goten and Trunks, their friendship and their school life and things they do, extracurricular wise, and things of that nature. And it's good. It's cool to see. It's a little bit of a change of pace, right, from what you normally get from Dragon Ball Super. So this chapter is, it's different, but it's cool to see. Really, see a little bit. I get to see our characters from a different perspective, not just, of course, the fighting and the Kamehamehas and all that, the transformations. You know, that's one thing that I do really enjoy about the chapter. The focus on the slice of life. It's a good change. It's a good change. In my opinion. So we see Trunks is riding his bike, quickly not to be late to church or not to be late to school. And then we see a man running a hot dog stand, toss him a hot dog. So clearly, this is somebody Trunks has a relationship with, right? As he throws back some money. So clearly, this is something that they've had going on for a while, right? With Trunks getting hot dogs from this guy on his way to school. So then we see as he continues his way to school, we see someone about to litter in the street, right, and throw out what seems to be a liquid bottle of some kind of drink, which is about to land in the street, right in front of a baby and her mother. Trunks catches it while eating the hot dog and throws it right back at the guy who originally tried to litter it, and then Trunks drives so fast that the guy can't tell it was him that picked it up on the ground and threw it at him. So Um, then we see Trunks continues on to school and he tries to sneak through the back and he's able to do it for the most part. But right as he gets in and is about to head to his desk, we see his teacher who looks a lot like Dr. Gero, catches him and basically, writes him up. Right. And basically warns him that, hey, if he keeps this up, there's a chance that he might not be in the school anymore. So basically, we see one of Trunks' friends. I believe his name is Compass, the one with the crazy hair, right? He basically kind of gets on Trunks a little bit for allowing himself to be late. Um, but Trunks is like, I've been busy, not like duty only calls after school. And his friend is wondering like, what duty? What are you talking about here, right? But Trunks doesn't go further. But the guy, his friend is like, that won't cut him, Mr. CEO, because basically it's a kind of a very known secret that Trunks' life is already kind of set for him. You know, um, Basically he's the future CEO of Capsule Corp. His parents' company, so he'll be set for life. He wouldn't even have to really worry about working, anything like that. But we get some cool insight kind of in the Trunks' mindset right now. Trunks basically says that, that sounds real boring to me. I need more excitement in my life. You gotta remember here, Trunks is in, his teenage years. He's going through puberty and things like that. He's looking for excitement. He's looking to, have a good time. Yeah. And he finds, potentially being a CEO at Caps Course pretty boring. Of course, different strokes for different folks. But it's not something he wants to do. He wants to be excited. He wants to go out there and face powerful opponents and stuff like that. We've seen that throughout Dragon Ball Super. Goten, and Trunks definitely, are eager to get involved in some battles here and there. But no matter if it's from Goku and Vegeta thinking that they're too young or them need the guard Andrew Stone to the island, right, or something like that for the most part, they don't have too big of a role, right? And we can see Trunks says this, he wants more excitement. It's part of the reason why he likes being a hero. He gets to, be out there on the battlefield a little bit more, which is cool to see. Right. So I think that's kind of a cool thing on Trunks' mindset that you might miss. I think that line is saying him saying he needs more excitement in his life. That is it's important and something to keep an eye on. Trunks trying to find that value, really. So then, um, I love this. So we see, I forget the name of this character. Oh no, this character's name is Rula, right? Her name is Rula, and it's cool to see, kind of like we're breaking barriers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time we see like actual black characters, actually, people of color featured here in the Dragon Ball manga. You know, because this is awesome. You know, shout out to Toritaro, whoever drew this. Definitely being able to get the black characters get their expressions and their complexion right. That's cool. That's cool. You know, that's something. That's something that a lot of YouTubers and a lot of podcasters, a lot of people you watch will not mention to you. So definitely enjoy that. I definitely did when I was reading the chapter. So, we're back to it. So, so we see Rula basically is like, I hear you're looking for excitement, right? A little adventure, and basically asks Trunks if he's heard about the ghost. And we see, Trunks' face gets a little bit, nervous. He's like, ghosts? Like, what are you talking about, right? Um, and basically, his friends are talking about, we should check it out at, the abandoned mansion on Mountain Butterfly, right? After school. Think of it as a dare. Um, and Trunks is pretty much like, nah, I got a packed schedule today, right? And then his friends are like, what happened to excitement, man? And Trunks walks away. And then his friends are wondering, he never wants to hang out anymore. What's gotten into him? And when basically Trunks is like, a dare, give me a break. I can handle I can't handle ghosts and ghouls and all that spooky stuff. So his friends, on the one hand, are noticing that he's not hanging out as much anymore, basically because Trunks is becoming more busy with his superhero stuff, right? But they, of course, don't know that. The other thing is Trunks is scared of ghosts and ghouls and that type of stuff, which is kind of funny and ironic because this is a guy who has faced superpowered aliens who have the power to destroy the entire universe. This is a guy that's went up against, Majin Buu, one of the most deadly forces in the history of Dragon Ball, who could destroy the entire universe. Beerus, who is the god of destruction of Universe 7, right? His job is to destroy things. But, instead you have Trunks here, he's actually scared of things like ghosts, which is pretty funny, right? Kind of childish too, for someone his age to be, kind of scared of ghosts. Which is kind of it there's a nice comedy There's nice comedy in that, really. So we see um later in the day, right? We see after school, we see Goten. Goten talking with another guy. We get look my black brother over here, man. I love the representation. I love the diversity, man. We got Rula over here, and then we got my brother over here, looking like a Miles Morales. Look at that, man. I love the representation. Credit to Toritaro here, man. Great stuff. Love the diversity being put on full display. So we see Trunks basically uh remind Goten, come over after school. Let's go play video games. Let's be honest. We all did that when we were younger, right? We all went to our friend's house to play video games after school. That was the life. That was the life. For me, it was Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube after school. That was the shit. Let me know what it was for you guys. What was the game you guys would go play after school at your friend's crib. But we see they're after school, they're chilling at Capsule Corp at Trunks' home, playing the Clean Glide video game, right? And Trunks is once again talking about how, yes, he likes video games, but he wants that excitement in real life too. He wants to, kick butt, right? you know. And you kind of always, if you notice when like Trunks and Goten would fuse in the Gotenks, right? And Gotenks would get that kind of cocky nature, and make jokes about kicking butt. You could tell that came from a lot from like Trunks' personality, a little bit from Goten, but more from Trunks. Trunks loves the rush of fighting and being able to kick butt and things of that nature. So we see Trunks is wearing his superhero costume watch, and Goten talks about he can't wait to get his as well, right? And Trunks talk about how he tried it earlier today, and that he during his study hall he went to the movie theater and got tickets to the Clean God movie, which actually includes a meet and greet with the actual actor. Trunks is excited at first, or Goten's excited at first, like, damn, Goten's assuming that one of the tickets is for him as well, since they both had been talking about going to the movie. But, Trunks then apologizes and says, as much as I want to go with you, Goten, I actually got the second ticket for Mai. He wants to ask Mai out, and take Mai to the premiere. So Trunks steps out to actually go over to the maintenance building and ask Mai to go on the date. Right, and we see basically the building is very, very busy. And Trunks is wondering what's going on. But before that, Trunks asks Mai, will basically just goes straight up to her and like, will you go on this dinner date with me? Let's go get dinner and let's go watch a movie. Um, but basically, Mai's like, that's not really my thing. You also got to remember here, Mai is, a lot older than Trunks. Superhero movies and stuff like that, are not really her thing. And Pilaf explains that is especially, the reason why she can't do that is because a lot of the helper bots had to be recalled all at once, and they're very busy repairing them all for the rest of the month, right? So basically, they already have time for other things outside of working, and of course, that's part of their contract for working with Capsule Corporation. If they don't work, they don't have a place to live. That's part of their agreement with Boma. Um, uh, and basically, Pilaf, knows that he can't really be making mistakes because Boma caught him trying to steal the Dragon Balls just earlier that same day. Um, and yeah, basically, Trunks asks how long will it take to repair all the helper bots, and Pilaf says possible to stay because the bots just keep getting carted in as we see more helper bots get carted in at that moment. Uh, so they're talking, and then they say there's a rumor that when night falls, strange folks appear to meddle with the helper bots. So Trunks is thinking that if he's able to take care of these weirdos, right, the helper bots will stop being recalled, and that will allow Mai to have her schedule freed up to go on the date on Saturday. So Trunks runs out with excitement, and Mai doesn't really, give too much attention. She just gets back to work. So basically Trunks recruits Goten and is like, let's go, we got work to do, right? So we see that it's late at night, and we see they're both walking through a neighborhood. Basically this is one of the neighborhoods when they've been getting reports about the helper bots, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And we see Trunks is he's nervous, he's scared because he feels like ghosts are actually gonna come up on him, and if this is funny, right? And Goten basically says the obvious answer here. Goten's like, wait, you're scared of ghost, Trunks? Like, what the hell? And Trunks is like, scared? Never. The son of a scientist. As the son of a scientist, I don't even believe in them. And Goten's like, what the hell? Well, that's funny because I'm pretty sure both our dads have died and come back as ghosts or whatever. So I love that. Goten, you gotta remember, Goten's younger. He's a year younger than Trunks, but, he speaks like the more mature one. He's like, Trunks, there's no reason really for you to be afraid of ghosts. We faced super powered aliens, right? That can destroy the entire universe. Plus, our own dads have died, and have come back really as ghosts in a way, right? When Goku died, he was able to keep his physical body, but he was still dead, you know? Uh, so in a way, Goku came back as a ghost, right? Even though he was technically dead. And same thing with Vegeta. Vegeta was able to come back, with his physical body, during the Buu Saga. So technically, in a way, Goku and Vegeta came back as ghosts during the Buu Saga. But it is funny, And Trunks is like, that's not the same, right? So it's funny that someone as super powered as Trunks, right, one of the strongest on the planet, is terrified of ghosts. So we see that Trunks walks into somebody who looks like a Frankenstein, and he gets terrified and he rocks, so he runs away, right? And Goten's basically like, hey, that guy must be the culprit, and he notices that the guy is walking through the street, and he walks past a helper robot who is with an older man, and he clicks like a little remote, and all of a sudden the helper robot starts acting out on its own, right? So Goten and Trunks are able to figure out this guy must be either the culprit or he's part of one of the big problems of why the helper robots keep getting bent out of shape. So then Goten and Trunks decide to follow him. So, um, so they follow him up to this mountain, right? And Goten is trying to figure out the situation, but Trunks is still nervous. All right, and then Goten's like, "Sheesh, don't you want to figure this out and be able to go on your date with Mai?" And it's kind of funny because remember, originally Goten was supposed to go with Trunks on to the movie, but instead here Goten is here helping Trunks figure it out so that Trunks can be able to go on his movie date. Goten being a good best friend, right? And Goten's like, come on, man, like man up a little bit, Let's figure this out and like get this done. So Trunks is then is thinking about how badly he wants to go on the date with Mai, but his thoughts about going on the date with Mai are conflicting with the thoughts of the zombies and ghosts being real, right? But he's finally able to kind of focus up and be able to deal with the situation. Um, so we see then they arrive at a house, right? Goten's looking in, and you can see that these individuals, you can see that the helper robots are involved, right? And they can tell these are the helper bots that have been getting recalled. And basically, what they figure out is that their programming is being overwritten, and it's forcing the bots to work here instead of working for the people that had originally purchased them. Um, I saw It looks like basically what's being done is the helper robots are instead being forced to help with this kind of sushi restaurant in a way, right? Help operate this sushi business or whatever you want to call it. So then all of a sudden, one of the individuals appears to notice Goten and Trunks looking through the window, right? And he starts walking through the window, really basically to confront them. But instead, we see that it's actually Goten's and Trunks' friends from school that we saw earlier in the chapter. Um, they are the ones that got caught by the individual. Remember, these were the same guys that earlier in the chapter they were the ones that told Trunks, "Let's go, ghost hunting, right? Let's go save the ghosts are real." Earlier in the day, um, so all of a sudden we see uh the guy who the mummy. In a way, he's about to beat up Trunks' friends, and all of a sudden, Trunks knows that he can't just let his friends get hurt. So he flicks his watch, which gets him a little bit of problems, but he's able to transform quickly into his Saiyaman X1 outfit, and all of a sudden he appears to save the day, right? Here to save his friends. Um, so then all of a sudden one of his friends who can't doesn't recognize him, but one of his friends claims to be a big fan of Saiyaman X1, another Easter egg to when Gohan was the great Saiyaman in the Buu saga. We see a bunch of the kind of the zombies and workers. They go after Trunks, but of course Trunks is able to defeat them very very easily, right? And we see there's one last standing, Alpha 12, right? And Trunks thinks he'll be easy to handle. Trunks goes for an up cycle, so basically an uppercut, but it has almost no effect. And we see that Alpha 12 reveals that he's built a little bit different than the others. He's actually able to take a hint and then some, but of course, Trunks is not using his full power at all. Um, so Trunks, prepares to wind up a more powerful attack. But right before he can fire off his attack, his outfit malfunctions and he goes right back to his normal self, right in front of his classmates, who recognize him right away. All of a sudden, Goten has to think on the spot to save Trunks' identity. So he uses a key blast to knock out the lights, and then basically very quickly grabs Trunks' friends and removes them from the house and gets a little bit further away. So then his friends recognize Goten right away, and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" And Goten basically is able to convince them that the ghost that they just saw was an illusion, right? And it was the same thing, the guy they just saw was an illusion of Trunks, and his friends, they don't really question it. They're like, "Wait a minute." So they're like, "Oh, that has to make sense because there's no way Trunks could be the great Saiyaman X1, right? That would be crazy." Of course, they have no idea how powerful Goten and Trunks actually are. And then Compass is like, "Hang on, you're saying this place really is a haunted house?" And of course, Trunks' friends, they run away in horror. So then, going back to Trunks and Alpha 12 battling, the lights are off and then Trunks is taking control. Trunks transforms into a Super Saiyan. This is kind of an Easter egg to when Goku faced the what's it called? That really dark man in the. You guys remember in the Buu saga when Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, along with the Supreme Kai, were going through those stages to try to find Babidi on the ship, right, and face Majin Buu. You guys remember when Goku faced like the really dark man who crate used like light as energy? That this is an Easter egg to that. To that battle. So Trunks transforms into Super Saiyan, of course, and he's able to glow enough where it's able to create a light for Alpha 12 to see him. Alpha 12 is like, who is he? Trunks puts back on his costume, and it works this time. And then he says, "I am Saiyaman X1." And then we get a very beautiful double spread as he does a big punch to knock out Alpha 12, knock him down to the ground, and he does the thumbs up, cleanup complete. Goten and Trunks basically stealing Goku's, classic thumbs up motion. So we see Goten then rise back on the scene and he's able to turn the lights back on. Um, and then Goten explains how he sent Compass and the Trunks' other friends home, and Trunks thanks Goten for making the quick save. So, um, so then all of a sudden, they're trying to figure out, oh, like who are these guys? But Trunks can't really ask anybody because he knocked everybody out. But they're looking around, and then they find in one of the rooms a special safe, right? And all of a sudden, it has a Dr. Gero confidential, a disc. Really, what could this mean? To guess, it has to have something to probably do like the Red Ribbon Army, and of course the Dragon Ball superhero movie does centered around right the Red Ribbon Army, attempting to revive itself. So, but we don't know if that's actually what this disc is. But you would think it would have something to do with that, of course, because it says Doctor Gero on it. Um, but Trunks says not sure, but it's the only thing they had locked up tight, so it must be some crazy important data. And of course, they walk out. Trunks says, "I'll look at it, when I get home. But all I care about is ending the recall. So anything beyond that is sort of whatever. Because Trunks just cares about being able to, free Maya up for a date on Saturday night. So all of a sudden, we then see Krillin. Krillin is on the case, basically trying to investigate what the hell happened here, right? And Krillin, is wondering what those two are, what they're doing sneaking around late at night. All of a sudden, Krillin's talking about how they heard a report from a nearby resident about Walking Dead, which were the people that Trunks had just faced off against. But I guess Trunks was not able to realize that they were, walking corpses. And of course, Trunks gets scared again, right? Um, and Trunks is going crazy. All of a sudden, he's like, I should have known they really were ghoulies. And Krillin's like, what are you talking about? Right at that moment, we see Dr. Hiro make his first manga appearance. Dr. Hiro appears home. We see he has the Oreos. Seems like he just came back from the supermarket with Oreos, which we know from the superhero movie that is his favorite snack. He absolutely loves those. And he's shocked to see everybody defeated. He's like, what the hell happened here? Right? Um, and Alpha 12 revealed that somebody from BH, which is the school Trunks and Goten go to, defeated them, right? But Dr. Ito's saying that, even though they were all corpses, they should be back up and ready to go in no time. But then Dr. Ito notices that his disc is gone, right? The data disc is gone, and that they took it with him. And he's like, anything but that. There's only one like it left in the world. We don't get a reveal of what's on the disc in this chapter, but clearly, of course, that's going to matter a lot more as we continue forward with, the superhero story. Um, and he'll just, is basically just saying this is a big disaster. But either way, no matter what, they'll have to figure out another way. Clearly, they were using this as a sushi restaurant to make money. Because Dr. Hito wants to gain money. I forget why Dr. Hito wanted to gather funds in the superhero movie again. But of course, remember this is a prequel. This takes place kind of like 9 months before the actual superhero movie. That is something to keep an eye out. So the next day, Trunks, goes to ask Maya out again, right? Because he thinks that the recall should be all set. But no. Now we see that Pilaf and Maya and the rest of them are even in more trouble than they were in originally. Basically, the recall got canceled, but now we've got a small army's worth of broken bots to repair. And that basically that they're not gonna have any time, to do anything but work for the foreseeable future. And we see Trunks gets like what, and he can't believe it, and Mai's wondering like what's going on with this guy, and that's how the chapter ends. So there you have it. That's the end of manga chapter 88. DBS is back, baby. And this is a fun little chapter. It's not anything too serious, right? Nothing major happened. This is a nice, fun little prequel to the Dragon Ball Super superhero story. You can tell Tortaro is having fun with this. Um, and yeah, it's gonna be great to see how it connects to the actual superhero movie. I can't wait for us to actually get a little bit more, like getting to see some more Goku and Vegeta and Broly training and things like that. But for the most part, yeah, it's this is not a crazy chapter. It really, is just Goten and Trunks starting this superhero adventure. As Trunks just wants to take Maya out on a date, but of course, everything going on here with these robots and everything uh, is getting in the way of that. Well, the big cliffhanger for the next chapter, for chapter 89, will be what's on the disc. What's on that Dr. Gero confidential disc. Of course, it most likely pertains to the Red Ribbon Army. Um, but we'll have to wait until next chapter. Hopefully, they'll probably find out what it actually is. We'll see what Dr. Hito's plan from here is. We do know, of course, Dr. Hito eventually ends up in prison. Um, and that's where we find him at the beginning of the superhero movie, with him breaking out and then joining the Red Ribbon Army and Carmine and etc. But like I said, this was a fun little chapter. It's not meant to be a super serious chapter, of course. But it's a fun reintroduction here. We get to focus more on Goten and Trunks and just some slice of life moments. That was really the coolest part. The slice of life of like Trunks, thus flying to school on his bike, or Goten and Trunks playing video games after school, or talking to friends. Those little things are just really, really cool. And I'm glad we got them. Right, but we'll just have to see where this goes from there. Um, I don't know how long this arc will be. I don't know how much of the superhero story they're gonna tell, if they're gonna tell the whole thing. But still, this was fun. This was a fun chapter, and I'm glad to have DBS back in my life. Really am. But let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of the chapter. What are your predictions for Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 85? I hope, of course, we get a little more Goku, Vegeta, and Broly next chapter. That's what I want to see. I'm excited for this to continue, of course, but I do want to see Goku go to Planet Vappa to recruit Broly. That's something I really want to see going forward. But we'll just have to take it from there and then see what they got for us. But yeah, Dragon Ball Super is back, and I'm excited to see where they go with this. Of course, any update on the Dragon Ball anime for 2023, I will keep you guys updated on that, along with any other major Dragon Ball news. But other than that, guys, that's about all I got for you guys today. Leave a like on the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel by hitting the bell, my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Follow me down on social media. The links are in the description down below. I will see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. Peace.